Welcome to Always Auburn with your host, Tyler Crane.
All right, we're back at you with Always Auburn. Sunday morning coming at you. This is going to be a quick one before I head to church. And we're not going to bring up what's in the national spotlight right now with all the officiating question marks and kind of just how that happened. And is there going to be some repercussions on the side of the officials who really had a big impact on the outcome of that game and not even knowing if the impact they had was a correct one. So we'll get into all that later on. I want to look at the team and the program and even beyond Coach Freeze, and something that really is on my mind, and it has been for a while with just the struggles that Auburn has put on the field probably in the past 10 years, give or take a year or two, that they showed some glimmer of hope. But I look back at football and what I know about football and how football games are won, and I can't help but think that this starts all the way at the top. And I'm not even talking about Coach Hugh Freeze. Coach Hugh Freeze does what Coach Hugh Freeze knows how to do, which is coach offense, develop quarterbacks, and recruit players. I'm looking at administration. I'm looking at John Cohen, who hired Hugh Freeze. I'm looking at Alan Green, who hired Brian Harsin. And the question that I can't wrap my mind around and what I'm trying to understand, and maybe that I can shed some light on, because a lot of people aren't going to talk about this, and they're going to talk about the refs, they're going to talk about the offensive line, the 10 sacks, they're going to talk about Jackson Arnold holding on to the ball too long and missing throws and play calling, miss pass interference calls. They're going to talk about all that when they go over this game. But I really, truly believe I will probably be the only one who actually addresses this point. And you can call me crazy if you want, but history tends to lean towards what I'm about to say. So here it is. I really feel like there's something to us being able for Auburn to not be able to win these games on defense. And I look back to one of the oldest sayings, one of the oldest philosophies that comes with football, and that is defense wins games. Defense wins championships. If you've played football, you've heard the chants on the buses, offense sells tickets, defense wins games. And there's so much truth to that, I believe. You look back at it. You look back yesterday, regardless of all the outside stuff we couldn't control with the officials and all that. At the end of the game, 4 minutes left on the game, in the game, the score was 17-16. We put our defense on the field with a chance to ensuingly kind of close out the game. Now, would they have got the ball back again? They might have, but then you got to stop them again. There's something to, if you can get that lead in the fourth quarter, you've got to win the game on defense. You've got to. And it wasn't just yesterday. I mean, we've seen it. You look back at Auburn, Georgia, a couple years ago, and Jordan-Hare had the lead in the fourth quarter, and we let Brock Bowers run all down the field on us. The defense couldn't win the football game. You look at the Gravedigger play, even with all the drop punts and whatnot that came from that. At the end of that game, the defense had a chance to win that game. I go farther back into the Harsin era. Look at the game that went to 5 overtimes. We were winning 10-0 with like 3-4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the defense could not win the football game. Bryce, I can't remember his last name for whatever reason at this point. I'm so discombobulated about the game. But Bryce Young throws the deep pass. Burns Jalen Simpson down the sideline, and they tie the game up at the end of that game. It's and you look back at the success of Auburn throughout time. You look back at when we were good, Pat Dye, Terry Bowden, the Tommy Tuberville years, Gene Chizik. We won games on defense. You put the defense on the field, and they won games. It wasn't always pretty. There were many 10-9 games in there, like the LSU game of 2004, 3-2 against Mississippi State, the Florida game where we couldn't score an offensive touchdown to save our life, but we found a way to win on defense and special teams. It's just so much to it. You look at the successful coaches in college football, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. You look at those guys, Ed Orgeron when he was at LSU, even with all that offensive firepower with Joe Burrow and all that, Ed Orgeron is a defensive-minded coach. Like, Brent Venables yesterday, Oklahoma put their defense on the field with 3 minutes left in the game, and that's plenty of time for Auburn to put together a drive. But guess what? They were going to win the game on defense because that's what they have pride in. That's what their coaching staff is built on, regardless of the John Mateer stuff and the firepower, Heisman hopeful you got on offense and all that. At the end of the day, Brent Venables was a defensive-minded coach, and he knew that if I can get the lead in the fourth quarter, I will not give it up. If our defense has a chance to win the football game late in this game, they will answer the bell, and we will not lose. It's a mentality. It is a mentality. It's a philosophy. It starts at the top with coaching, and I just don't know how much of all this hiring offensive-minded coaches as the head coach of the program is really going to turn into championship, big game contention, and finishing these big games, because you finish the game on defense. Tommy Tuberville had a great record in the big game. He won the big games. Those were the glory days. You go back and look at all the big games Tommy Tuberville won in Jordan-Hare Stadium and on the road in the big games. And that's because defense wins games. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. And that's not Coach Hugh Freeze's fault. He coaches offense. Like I said, I don't know where we have got this idea that we have to hire offensive-minded coaches and to be successful. Because if you look at the successful programs in college football, 9 times out of 10, they have a head coach, a leader of their football program, and he has a defensive background, and it's a defensive-minded football team. I just don't know how far we're going to get in the big games with these offensive-minded coaches. I really just don't know. It's almost discouraging, to tell you the truth, because everybody can say, hey, we played great on defense yesterday. We held them to 32 yards rushing, dominated the line of scrimmage, this, that, and the third. You're right. But when it all came down to it and they went empty at the end of that game, we were tired. We were out of position. You got Keywan Crawford out here in the slot, all the way, the deep slot, dang near at the numbers, covering their slot receiver. Now, I'm watching this on TV. I'm saying, what is Crawford doing? I know he's going to be open. I know this guy's going to. And if I see it, you best believe their coaches see it, John Mateer sees it, and that receiver sees it. So that's 15 more yards. You know what I'm saying? And it's an attitude, man, and it starts at the top. And no, I'm not saying fire Hugh Freeze and hire DJ Durkin. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that history shows you that defense wins football games. And until we are able to put a defense on that field at the end of a game, regardless if they're tired, worn out, whatever, and they can answer the bell, until we are able to put a defense on that field at the end of a football game, and they can stop a big-time team in the big-time moments, we're going to keep losing these games. That's what I got for you. We'll get back about the refs and all that. That's just a little food for thought about just what I think is the recipe to win big football games. And I think it starts on defense, and I think it starts at the top of the program. So y'all have a good Sunday. We'll catch you a little later. War Eagle.